For today's review, we are looking at Animal Man. Now, before I dive into talking about the accessories and, of course, the figure, as usual, let's take a quick look at the data profile card that is included to find out who Animal Man is as a character. And as you can see, there is this nice photo of what the character looks like in the comic book artwork. Pretty cool. And this version of Animal Man comes from the Human Zoo, which is a comic that I've never read before. And honestly, I have never heard of this character before, ever. I only learned about this character's existence because of this figure. And this figure came out, I would like to say, 1 to 2 years ago as a Target exclusive gold label. And the reason why I picked up this figure is because I thought he looked pretty cool. And honestly, the fun thing about collecting DC Multiverse from Mcfarlane Toys is that whenever they do release a character that I am unfamiliar with, I want to pick up the figure so I can learn who they are and also add them to the collection, because it's nice to be able to expand the DC figure shelf. And as you can see from this photo, there are some slight differences with how the figure turned out. His eye mask, for example, on the figure, his eyes are not visible. It would have been nice if there was an alternate head sculpt to give you this option. The way that his emblem for his costume is done is also different. He doesn't have this jacket that he's wearing in this photo. However, there is a solution to this, which I tried to do after a certain other character came out in figure form, and I will talk more about this later. So let's get to the part where we read the back really quickly, because I don't want to drag this on too long. Now, his real name is Buddy Baker, and it reads, debuting in the mid-1960s, Animal Man was born after an alien visitation. After a stint as a member of the Forgotten Heroes, Buddy became a founding member of Justice League Europe. In his own title, he discovered his true origins and even broke the fourth wall. Meeting the writer of his exploits, Animal Man became an ambassador of the Red, at one point changing his look with long black and white hair. That is interesting. I did not know he can break the fourth wall, and I don't know what being ambassador of the Red is, but pretty cool read up on who the character is. Okay, now let's talk about the accessories that are included with this figure, and let's start with the interchangeable hands. So as you can see on the figure, he does have two fist hands for both the right and the left arm. Pretty cool that they included those. He comes with two of these hands that I like to call the flight hands. Now, I don't know if this character can fly, but he has these. You could probably treat these as running hands as well, because this is the same posture that they gave to some of the Flash figures, I believe, in the past. So it's either flight hands or running hands, however you want to use them. He also comes with the item holding hand, or what I like to call the trigger finger hand, because you can technically have him hold a gun, but I don't think this character uses a gun, right? So you do get one of these for mainly just the left arm. And then he does come with this really cool hand gesture, which I feel like they should have just included just a few more of these, more than just the regular hands. You got this animal transformation hand with the claws and the texturing. I don't know what this is supposed to be, like which animal this is supposed to be of, but it would have been nice to have a few more of these hands for the figure, because, this symbolizes that he's using his powers, I guess. Which, again, I don't know how his powers work, but this is really cool that they included that. And the last accessory that he comes with, which is a surprise to me because I did not think this figure would even come with this at all. Usually a lot of figures these days don't even include much in the box. He comes with a literal animal. This is not a bear, because it's way too small to be a bear. Well, it could technically be like a tiny bear of some kind, but I'm pretty sure this is a honey badger. I think it is. I could be very much wrong here, but whatever this animal is, they included this as an accessory, and that's pretty freaking cool. You can see how the fur texture is all sculpted on here. There's a little bit of a wash to the animal here, so you can see some contrasting colors, which is pretty cool. It is aggressive and angry at somebody, so there's that. Unfortunately, there is no articulation on this, so yeah, if there was articulation, that would be crazy. So, but it's basically just like a miniature statue. And that is all the accessories that this figure comes with. Now, let's talk about the figure and the aesthetics of this costume. As you can see, it is a very simple design for the costume. There's really not much details going on here. And of course, the body buck is reusing a body buck we have seen many times before, ever since it was introduced in the Booster Gold Blue Beetle 2-pack. And around this point of time, when this figure came out, that was when they were already very heavily reusing this body buck for a lot of the comic book male characters. So, in this case, does it work for this character? From what I can see of the source material, of how he looks like in the comics, from what I was able to see photos of before starting today's review, I think it works. I don't think it's a bad body buck for this character. I don't actually know what kind of body buck would work for this character, but in this case, I think it's fine. So, in this case, the reuse is okay. So, all right, let's talk about the costume itself. It's very orange. As you can see, most of it is orange, right in the center, right here from top to bottom. And he does have black color for the gloves and, of course, the boots that he's wearing down here. I'm assuming those are boots. And you can see that sculpt line, which, you know, isn't meant for this particular costume. But once again, when you reuse a body buck, everything that is sculpted on it is going to stay on it. And for the back of the figure, it is basically the same thing, except you don't have the emblem. It's just basically all flat orange on the back. So, and as for his logo, which I'm assuming this is supposed to be the letter A to represent, you know, his superhero name, it does go from the top here to his stomach area and all the way to the waist part down here, which, you know, wraps around to the back. So it kind of forms like a little belt of some kind. And when you do articulate this figure, it will break up the sculpt of, you know, the design of this emblem. I shouldn't say sculpt because it's not sculpted. It's actually just printed on, I think. It's not even painted. It's printed. So, yeah. Okay, let's talk about the head sculpt. It's not a bad looking head sculpt. I think they did a really good job with the head sculpt. It does look similar to the source material. However, there is no eyes that are visible. He has this sort of like eye mask, sort of whatever you call these, that are covering his eyes. And I don't know what the reflection is supposed to be of. Is it supposed to be like the reflection of sunlight or something? I have no clue what's going on, but it looks pretty cool. So I do like that. His hair sculpt is pretty simple. He got that similar style of hair to kind of like what Booster Gold has in a way. It is a yellow color for the paint, and I don't really know if he looks like he's smirking more than he's smiling. Kind of looks like he has like a smirk expression going on, but yeah, pretty simple head sculpt. Nothing crazy going on here, but you know, it gets the job done, and yeah, they did an okay job of Animal Man in figure form. Now, let's talk about the thing that I wanted to bring up. So as you can see in the photo that I showed earlier for this card here, you can see that how he has a jacket on. And there's a certain other character that came out in figure form, I believe, after this figure came out. So a certain Captain Boomerang, and as you can see right here, I do have his coat, and it's because I think this coat could work for this figure. Now, it is way too long, because if you actually search up the actual image of his coat, it only goes up to like his waist area. If you are a customizer, I think you could probably modify this coat if you have like an extra Captain Boomerang figure. I don't know how to modify this. I'm not going to, because I don't want to destroy it. But I'm pretty sure there's a way to probably like trim like a portion of this off. And then you can probably customize it into a shorter sort of coat jacket thing of some kind for him to wear. Now, it is a darker blue, but I think it still works as a proxy. So I'm going to show what this looks like in a bit. On the figure, of course. Now, let's talk about the articulation of this figure. We have seen it many times, but this is for those of you who have never seen the articulation for this figure. So his head does go up. He can look up, so that's not too bad. He can't really look down too much, which is not great. He can turn his head side to side. He can tilt his head side to side. As for his arms, they can go out into a T-pose. He can swing them back and forth. He does have double jointed in the arms, right? He does have the swivel up here, so that moves. He does have swivel in his hands. He does have articulation in the wrists, and they do swivel as well. So, simple articulation for most Mcfarlane figures. As for his torso, it does rotate pretty good. It can lean forward a little bit, not the best. It can lean back, but as you can see, it does break up his, costume design. I think they should have painted that a little bit more into the inside so it doesn't look like there's a breakup right there. As for his waist articulation down here, there is a rotation. It can lean forward a little bit, but again, it's not the best. It can lean back, also not the best. But yeah, so there's the articulation for the body. As for his legs, he can kick out. Not too bad. And that's because the piece up here is soft. So that allows for him to do I would say, a solid kick for a DC figure from Mcfarlane Toys. And again, I've said this in the past. For some reason, some figures can't kick out like this. Some can kick even better than this, actually. So he does have double jointed. Pretty cool. He does have articulation down here in the feet. There is a swivel to articulation. In terms of the upper thigh swivels, they don't move. Not for this one. So they are like frozen in there. But if you do heat it up, I think you can get them to loosen and they will probably move. As for spreading out, yeah, I could say that that's almost a full split. That's not too bad, right? Of course, you do have to be a little bit worried here. You are warping this softer plastic up here, so do be careful with that. And in terms of moving his legs back, which I usually don't show much of because, they really can't move their legs back too much. So there's that. Okay, and that is the articulation for this figure. And now, let me show what I'm talking about. So if you want him to wear this coat, because you want it to make it look like the source material, kinda, even though it's not the same. You could technically use your Captain Boomerang figure if you have one, if you don't want him to wear the coat, because you don't like the coat on the figure or something. You could definitely give it to some other characters that could probably benefit from it. And in this case, I think he could definitely benefit from this coat. Like, it looks cool, and of course the articulation does work, right? As you can see. And one thing I do want to point out, so in my Mr. Terrific review, the coat for that figure was very soft material for the cloth goods here. And now having this coat in hand again, because I haven't held this thing in my hand for a long time, this is a thicker material. So whatever they used for Mr. Terrific was way softer and allowed for the articulation to move a lot better than this particular coat. So I'm glad they kind of changed things around. But there you go. There he is with the coat on if you want to do this for fun. So I do like that option. And now, let me show the animal hand that he comes with on the figure. So if you want him to use his powers, here we go. Let's pop that off. Let's put this on. Let me see if I can get that on. Really simple. There you go. There you have his animal hand equipped. And it doesn't look too bad. And it looks pretty cool. You can use it for action poses or something. But again, it would have been awesome if they included just a few more of these instead of these regular hands, because he doesn't have anything to hold. And also I think the inclusion for these type of hands are kind of stupid, especially for a figure that I don't think is going to fly, and I don't think you're going to have them in a running pose, right? So more of these type of hands would have been better. So there's that. And now let's do some comparisons. So let me kind of set him up here where he will not fall over. Okay, there you go. There he is. Okay, let me just make sure. All right. Here he is next to Black Lightning, which is another figure that came out a little bit ago. And yeah, you could probably have him next to this character if you want to. Now, again, I don't exactly know what characters he interacts with. And now that I think about it, I feel like I've seen this character before. I think he's appeared in Justice League, the animated series, in the second, no, not the second season, the sequel series, the Justice League Unlimited. I think he was in it, like as a background character. I could be wrong, but I think I've seen this character before, now thinking about his design. So you could definitely have him with the Justice League members if you want to. Here he is with Captain Atom. So yeah, I think he works really good for these comic book figures. And yeah, just a really cool figure to have in my collection. Even if I know nothing about this character, I'm still happy that I have this figure. So there is that. And that is going to be all the comparisons for today's review. And if you found today's review informative, do give this video a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel for more action figure content and whatever else I do on here, you can. You don't have to. In the end of the day, I make these videos for fun. And with that said, take care, and I will see you in the next video.